We tend to think of hardships as something caused by a lack of something, that our lives are difficult because we don't have something or some things that we should have, that we deserve to have. That, for example, ignorance is a lack of education. That poverty, of course, is a lack of funds or opportunities. But we never consider that hardships also come about from excess, from an abundance of those things and other things. And Epictetus points this out in his discourses by saying, to the uneducated, every skill, every ability becomes an impediment. I'm paraphrasing here. But he says this because how difficult it is for people to remain modest when they do have wealth, for how difficult it is for people to receive an education and not feel superior to others. And this is exactly why it's also very difficult to come up with all these things in one's life. It doesn't make it easier just because one has abundance. Because what is our goal? Our goal is not riches and good looks and health forever, because that's not in our control. Our goal, I think I speak for all of us, is to become proper people, to become kind people, to become wise, to better oneself, to treat people with kindness, to be honest, to be upright, to have integrity. And when you look at it this way, when these are our goals, which should be our goals, it is just as difficult to become such a person as it is in poverty, as it is in excess. You might think because a child, a person, grew up without money, that it is difficult for them to attain these things, and that can be true, but it is just as difficult to come up with riches and to be someone who doesn't think they're better than anyone else. And you might think that someone growing up in a single parent household has certain disadvantages, and that's true. But someone who comes from a long line of so-and-sos and from a big family has also difficulties. Their difficulties lie in having to shoulder all these expectations of all these different family members who might themselves be people who have achieved this and that and expect the same of you. And how difficult it is for when there are so many people telling you what you should do and what to become and how to do it and how good to be in such and such a thing, to find yourself, to come to your own identity and to feel authentic and to feel like you're in the right place. These things are just as difficult as those other things. To come up poor is difficult, so is coming up rich. And this is all just to say, really, at the end, that we're selling ourselves short if we think that our lives are not as good as we want them to be because we haven't grown up in a rich family or a family that wasn't poor. We're selling ourselves short if we think that our problems lie in that and will always lie in that and there's nothing we can do about it. And we'll always sell us short if we blame our lack of understanding of the world, of people, of economics, of whatever it may be, and if we blame it to our lack of education, that we did not have enough money again to attend this or that school, or that our parents did not let us, or whatever it may be. These are excuses, just as ridiculous as it would be for a rich person to say that they have so much difficulty connecting with people and having real relationships because everyone knows about their money. And so they don't know who is in it for the money and who's not. There are advantages and there are disadvantages to either one of those. And the advantages of being rich are obvious, but the advantages of being poor are not having to deal with the disadvantages of coming up wealthy, of never knowing the value, the true value of money, of always chasing money, of thinking money defines someone and that only a lot of it will make a good person, will make a valuable person. There are advantages and disadvantages to both ways of coming up. And let's build on our advantages. Let's not destroy with our disadvantages. Let's not let ourselves use these excuses on either side. You will not be better because you have more money. You would not have been better if you had this or that education, necessarily, not necessarily. Because when we talk about true education, when we talk about real education, when we talk about the education that will actually make us who we want to be, is rarely ever, maybe a few percent of it, consists of the traditional common education that we might be thinking about at this or that school. True education is self-education, and self-education depends on very little else other than one's own self, especially in this day and age when we have literally every book available to us. And yes, some books are expensive, but you know what? The most valuable books that I can think of are not only not expensive, they're entirely free, because some of them are 75 years old, some of them are hundreds of years old, some of them are thousands of years old. So we have so many advantages just of being born in this time that we should use and get away from our excuses and make a start today.